At this moment, Bok Wai Vien, the top assassin, had been defeated. No trace of arrogance remained in his eyes. He finally had to bow his head. The one no one thought could fail had now become a fading shadow. Yet, surprisingly, as soon as I returned to Ha Kin Hak Fu, Bok then had noticed the military insignia on me, ranked 2 stars. His face instantly changed color. It must be understood that to achieve the rank of 2 stars, one needed to accumulate over 20,000 military merits. Meanwhile, defeating a level 40 monster or below only yielded a normal amount of merits. Even more absurdly, I had brought a KHA along, which meant each monster slain only granted half the military merits. Calculating it out, I must have taken down at least 400 low-level monsters. He suddenly asked, "Did you attack a monster lair?" But I simply replied that I had only slain a few high-level monsters. Hearing this, Bok then nearly leapt up. "The high-level monsters you speak of? How could they be so easily slain? One is already difficult, let alone many." Old man, on the other hand, was full of interest. "Tell us what happened." I immediately began recounting the destruction of the space and the tunnel. After hearing this, Bok then felt a rush of blood surge, overwhelmed with excitement. That fire demon must be furious. To have made 2 attempts and still not taken you down is truly embarrassing. And at that moment, I also shared my encounter with the Sorcerer of Divine Words in the instance. With a look of astonishment, Bok then suddenly leapt up. "What did you just say? You met a Sorcerer of Divine Words?" Even old man's eyes widened, filled with curious skepticism as he looked at me. I recounted my experiences in the instance. After hearing it all, old man struggled to suppress a smile and turned to Bok then. "So in the eyes of the esteemed Shu Nan, you are just a useless wretch." Bok then snorted coldly. At that time, my profession hadn't been upgraded. It's understandable he looked down on me. Shu Nan has been a renowned figure for many years. Back then, both Bok then and old man had yet to be born. In his journey of growth, Bok then had once participated in instances on battlefield number 3, facing hellish trials. However, he was not alone, he was with another team. At that time, Sorcerer Shu Nan had yet to make his appearance. Perhaps in his eyes, Bok then was nothing more than a useless wretch. After all, Shu Nan had once proclaimed that he would rather let a broken object remain in his possession than hand it over to a fool. Bok then shifted his gaze to old man, saying, "HMPH, it seems you participated in that instance as well, didn't you?" Old man immediately shook his head. "I have never engaged in hellish trials." Bok then fell silent in anger. His growth was a miracle, surpassing all his peers. Yet, even a genius like him could not capture Shu Nan's attention, a testament to how high his standards were. At that moment, old man raised his hand towards me. "Bring it out." I was immediately taken aback, unsure of what he wanted. Tai Chen beside me reminded, "When it comes to teleportation from the void, Old Man is the most suitable." Upon hearing this, I understood that Old Man was one of the foremost sorcerers of the Divine Sha Empire. He was indeed one of the greatest masters of magic. There was no one more worthy to entrust the Crystal of Space to. Without hesitation, I promptly handed the Crystal of Space to him. As Old Man accepted it, a wondrous small tower appeared in his hands. That was the Divine Sha Tower. I couldn't help but marvel. I never expected that the legendary tower would be in the hands of Old Man. At that moment, a brilliant beam of light shone from the Divine Sha Tower onto the Crystal of Space, and shimmering characters resembling stars appeared on its surface. Soon after, the Crystal of Space began to undergo a miraculous transformation. Its surface, once sparkling like jade, gradually faded, as if it were being sealed. Ultimately, it transformed into the shape of a teleportation stone, appearing no different from an ordinary teleportation stone. Yet no one knew what secrets lay hidden within. However, this stone could lead directly to the abyssal world. Old Man then handed me the teleportation stone meant for 10 people. I added the coordinates of the human world to it. You can use it to travel between humanity and the abyss. But remember, the energy of space is limited. Each use must be separated by an hour. As I received the teleportation stone, I immediately bent down to recover my strength. At that moment, Bok then spoke up. "The gifted stone you mentioned. Take great care of it. When you change your profession for the 3rd time, it will hold tremendous value. As for the divine staff, give it to me, and I will find someone to repair it." Without hesitation, I handed the staff over to him. This item was a legendary weapon. If repaired, its attributes would grow even stronger. In the human world, there were not many legendary weapons like this. Having one more would be exceptional. Next, I took out the heart of the Demon King and handed it to Bok Than. However, Bach then showed no surprise at all. If you have slain the Demon King on the battlefield, then you must have also obtained the Soul Crystal. I nodded. There are a total of 5. I gave 2 to a KHA and Magnok, and kept 3 for myself. Bach then understood this well. Magnok of the Mac family had been stuck at level 39 for over a year, solely to seek the Soul Crystal. Yet, upgrading a profession was not easy. However, with the capabilities of the Mac family, they had at least a 60% chance. Old Man suddenly interjected, and what about Bach then's capabilities? Naturally, I am a bit stronger than the Mac family. But before I could finish, Bach then cut in. Old Man, you are being unfair. Old Man chuckled and said, isn't it just a contest with an old man? If you can't even manage this, then what will you compare to me? But I heard that the old man has already brought that treasure out. Bai Shen inhaled deeply upon hearing this, saying, Bai Yi Yuan has never been inferior to anyone in his life. He strives so hard, I am not afraid of him. Young Master Lamb, give me 2 soul crystals. I will prepare for you during your second-class change. I cannot promise anything else, but I assure you that during your second-class change, you will have an 80% chance of upgrading your class and a 30% chance of awakening a second innate talent. Hearing these words, I couldn't help but be astonished, for such high odds were unheard of. Even Mo Yan only dared to claim a 60% chance of class upgrading. As for awakening a second innate talent, he didn't even have a fraction of a percent. But at this moment, Bai Shen continued, it's a pity that this is your second innate talent awakening. If it were your first, I would have a 90% hope of helping you awaken your innate talent. These words plunged my mind into contemplation. My innate talent comes from the system. Does it count as a self-awakening? Is it truly a 90% chance of awakening a talent during the second-class change? Thinking of this, my heart surged with excitement. A sense of eagerness filled me. If I truly succeed, perhaps I will become an innate warrior as the mage Shen Yu had said. Seeing the somewhat pained expression on Bai Shen's face, I understood that he might have to pay a hefty price for his class change. With all that he had done for me previously, in this moment, I couldn't help but feel moved. Therefore, I respectfully bowed to him. Thank you, Master Bai Shen. But Old Man shook his head at this, still calling him Master Bai Shen. After saying this, he looked towards the teacup on the table. A glance filled with meaning. I immediately understood, and picked up the teacup to present it to Bai Shen. Disciple pays respects to the master. Bai Yi Yuan accepted the teacup with satisfaction and drank it down. From this moment on, I officially became Bai Shen's disciple. Bai Shen smiled warmly. You have worked hard these days. Go home and rest well. Tomorrow, we will set off for Nanhong City to participate in the vocational conference. Do your best to bring back a trophy. But remember, do not become complacent, no matter how strong you are. This world is filled with countless professions, there may be some that counter yours. I nodded with determination. Disciple will certainly strive to cope with the conference. After I left, Old Man immediately became serious. There is one thing that young Master Lamb did not tell you. When you faced the Demon King on the battlefield, you offended the Duke Association and even killed their vice president. Upon hearing this, Bai Shen frowned. This kid, why didn't he inform me about that Duke Association? With just a slap, I could handle them. But Old Man shook his head. Perhaps he wants to deal with it in his own way or doesn't want to trouble you. In any case, don't get involved in this matter. After leaving the small courtyard, I contacted Tuong Dao. The departure time has been set for tomorrow. After that, I returned to Fortress Number 1. However, I discovered that many people were bustling about, discussing the battle with the Demon King. Have you heard? It seems the Duke's Guild has made an appearance. I heard their team was completely annihilated while searching for the Demon King on the battlefield. Not only the Demon King fell, but even his son has perished. Regardless of who the culprit is, I couldn't help but exclaim, well done. After all, who told them to constantly bully us? The lonely ones. With the Duke's Guild's notorious reputation, seeing them in such dire straits brought a sense of delight to many professions. Yet, this incident cannot simply pass by unnoticed. My goal must be to become stronger than ever before. Soon after, I will put an end to all of this decisively. The National Professional Convention is truly in full swing. While others struggle against monsters, my skeletal warriors need but a single strike to finish the task. In truth, I haven't even tapped into 1/1.000th of my power. I have passed the preliminary round. To my surprise, as soon as I set foot in Fortress Number 1 to prepare for the skill challenge, I found the Duke's Guild present as well. Clearly, they had come to investigate the cause of their son's death. Hence, I left fortress number 1 quite naturally, leaving no trace behind. To avoid detection, the next day, I, along with a KHA and a few other friends, headed to Nam Hong City to participate in the professional convention. Nam Hong City is one of the largest cities in the Divine Xia Empire, rivaling the capital, Ha Tan. Hundreds of teleportation stations lined up neatly. Countless individuals from various professions streamed out from the teleportation gates. The Divine Xia Empire has prepared vast infrastructures for this professional convention, not only serving those attending but also providing food, drinks, and accommodations entirely free of charge, showcasing the great power of the Divine Xia Empire. At this moment, hundreds of thousands of professions gathered in the square. A KHA looked around with wide eyes. There are so many people. How long will the competition take? Beside her, Tuong Dao Dao laughed and said, "These are just the professions below level 40. The advanced professions after their second transfer will be in a different place. And their numbers won't be any less than here. The Empire has long anticipated the issue of participant numbers. So before the competition, a preliminary round will be held. Only teams that pass the preliminaries will be allowed to compete in the main event. Only those strong enough will continue to compete. It is said that this selection will eliminate over 90% of the teams. However, due to the varying ranks of professions, to ensure fairness, the Empire will group those below level 70 into a separate category. To classify and compete, Zhang Dao Dao has informed us about the competition rules. Over 100 teams will participate in this contest at the Ha Tan Academy." I searched intently through the crowd. And finally, a hint of disappointment crossed my face. Because I couldn't see my sister's figure in the crowd. A KHA, perceptive as always, grasped my hand in comfort. "Don't worry. We will definitely meet again." Looking at her, I nodded, reassuring myself that my sister simply hadn't arrived yet. Just then, an angry voice boomed from behind, "If you want to show affection, go somewhere else. Don't block the way." The owner of that voice was burly, carrying a large weapon on his back, standing at least 2 meters tall. Clearly, he was a formidable warrior. His gaze was filled with displeasure as he looked at me in a KHA. "This is the path to the competition venue, not your private space. If you want to fight, do it at home." I cast a cold glance at him, my eyes like ice, causing him to shiver instantly. The aura radiating from me instilled a profound sense of fear within him. He immediately became wary. "No fighting allowed here, or you will be disqualified." It was clear he understood this well. So he tugged at me. "Forget it. Let's move on." I nodded slightly. Seeing this, the burly man hurried off, silently grateful to escape the tense situation. In that moment, he truly felt the intense killing intent. As he departed, a grand display of light appeared in the sky above the square, clearly displaying all the rules and announcements for the selection round. It was announced that this selection round was divided into 2 parts. First was the team selection, followed by the individual selection. The rules were simple yet brutal. All teams of 5 would be categorized into groups, and each group would face the same level of difficulty. Whether a team was level 20 or 29, they would endure the same challenges. Generally, in the same group, higher ranks usually had significant advantages. However, this also depended on skills, equipment, and the coordination among team members. All of these factors were crucial. When the judge in the arena announced the start of the selection round, all teams began to enter in turn. The path to the challenge. As the teams stepped in, the scene before my eyes shifted instantly. A long corridor appeared, evoking a familiar feeling reminiscent of my previous major exam. I immediately realized something. This selection round utilized the Divine Lower Tower for testing. At that moment, the content of the test became clear to everyone. Defeat the boss at the end. The rules were simple, with no additional requirements, but carrying it out would not be easy. Instantly, Jiang Dao Dao instructed Don Sao to activate the state. Don Sao raised his staff high, and immediately, rings of enhancement radiated around everyone. The attributes of our companions were significantly boosted. Unfortunately, these states had no effect on me. But with my strength, it wouldn't matter whether I had a state or not. As I prepared to summon the undead to swiftly conclude the selection round, a KHA beside me stopped me. "Hold on for a moment. Let us try first. If we can't make it, then you can step in." I nodded in agreement, standing at the back of the team. Just as we stepped into the challenge, the first monster appeared. Its shape resembled that of a ghostly dog rising from the abyss. But the aura it emanated was far weaker than any ghostly dog I had ever encountered. Its rank and attributes were distinctly inferior. Clearly, this was a creature replicated by the deity of the lower tower from a ghostly dog. Dealing with it posed no real challenge. A KHA stood silently behind the ghostly dog, oblivious to the unfolding events. The skilled death strike immediately unleashed its power. As the dagger pierced through the body of the ghostly dog, a shrill wail echoed, shaking the very fabric of the space. And then it collapsed to the ground, lifeless. This was the explosive power of an assassin. While the wizard's skills were undeniably potent, they required time to chant spells. Usually, it took at least 10 seconds, sometimes even tens of seconds, whereas the assassin's skills could erupt instantaneously. Seeing the monster fall, a few team members displayed signs of relaxation, as if everything was easier than they had imagined. Yet, within my heart, I could only smile quietly. Nothing is as simple as it seems. This trial has only just begun. Meanwhile, the Empire of the Lower Tower was broadcasting live to the entire world. Nations could observe this competition. On the large screen in the square, special lines of text drew everyone's attention. Those were the names of the team leaders. My name was among those listed. Yet, the score following my name was merely a 0. As the scores of the teams continuously fluctuated, my name suddenly appeared in the middle of the rankings. Many other teams had also turned gray. Their ranks had plummeted to the bottom of the table, indicating that those teams had been eliminated. The selection round had only lasted 5 minutes, yet several teams had already been disqualified. This indicated that the selection was far more challenging than they had anticipated. At this moment, the leading team had scored 40 points, while my score was only 23. As he watched the selection round, Bai Shen suddenly felt anxious. What are they doing? Their scores are much lower than the others. This is not like his usual style. After saying this, he glanced to the side. Elder Mang, can you give me some information? Elder Mang, as the overseer of the lower tower, clearly understood everything happening in the tower. He knew I hadn't lifted a finger yet, but chose not to reveal this to Bai Shen. Why are you in such a hurry? This selection round is not a race, but rather about who can endure and surpass the challenges. Do you not believe in that little brat? Bai Shen chuckled at this. That kid has the potential to become the champion. There's no way this selection round can stop him. At that moment, during the challenge, a KHA and the others had reached their limits. They had come to realize where their own boundaries lie. Then Zhang Daodao looked at me and said, "We've done our best, the rest is up to Senior Lin." I smiled and replied, "Of course." Slowly, I raised my hand, and shadows began to rise from beneath my feet, like a storm about to unleash its fury. In an instant, 25 zombie warriors plunged down from above, targeting the ghostly dogs directly. Just then, a few more ghostly dogs emerged from the abyss, but with a single strike from the zombie warriors, 3 of the ghostly dogs fell without a sound, collapsing on the spot. Remember, at this moment, the strength of the zombie warriors had surpassed 20.000. Even the initial ghostly dogs from the battlefield were obliterated in the blink of an eye. Let alone their weaker versions at level 27. In less than 2.5 minutes, dozens of ghostly dogs from the abyss lay neatly in the meal box. Witnessing this scene, some, like Zhang Daodao, stood frozen, unable to believe their eyes. They had deliberated over many strategies, struggling to cope with 4 ghostly dogs. Yet before the might of my zombie warriors, all strategies became futile. It was simply laughable, indeed. Comparing people can lead to despair. A KHA stood by, reassuring that there was no need to compare with him. His zombie warriors were always incredibly strong, capable of even taking down level 40 evil monsters. When I joined the battle, our team's attack speed surged instantly, and our scores began to climb rapidly. At this moment, the teams in the lead, their scores had stagnated. Everyone had reached 200 points, meaning they had entered the final phase of the test. This was the battle against the final boss, where my true strength would be revealed for the first time in this profession competition. In truth, while a KHA and the others were struggling against the ghostly dogs from the abyss, I had quietly stood back, waiting for the right moment to strike, and in less than 2.5 minutes, I had eradicated all those ghostly dogs like a gust of wind sweeping everything away. Instantly, my ranking was elevated to match that of the leading teams. Next would be the battle against the final boss. Whoever could defeat the boss first would claim victory. But the boss was not an easy foe. It would test not only the team's coordination but also their overall combat capabilities. At this moment, our team had arrived before the boss, and I recognized this boss as quite familiar. Resembling the specter from the abyss that I had once defeated, I no longer wished to examine its attributes. Behind it, many more ghostly dogs from the abyss emerged, like a surging tide. Upon witnessing this scene, Zhang Daodao instantly tensed. "Is that a demon from the abyss?" A K replied with a smile. That's called a hellhound from the abyss. But it's not a true hellhound. The real ones are far more powerful. Beside them, Mao Duong curiously asked. So, can Senior Lin defeat it? Akei beamed with confidence, saying, he has taken down countless hellhounds from the abyss. More than the monsters we face today. Hearing this, everyone was stunned, unable to fathom the extraordinary power of Senior Lin. And at that moment, the undead warrior charged straight at the boss. While the boss commanded the hellhounds to attack, instantly, dozens of hellhounds from the abyss rushed toward the undead warrior. And the undead warriors did not hesitate, unleashing their skills in a frenzied assault. In the blink of an eye, 3 hellhounds from the abyss had fallen to the ground. Immediately, I unleashed an explosive skill onto their corpses. After 3 resounding blasts, not only did all the hellhounds vanish, but even the traces of the hellhounds from the abyss were no more, leaving only a sea of lifeless bodies. Then, a solemn voice echoed, participation in the examination successful. Instantly, our 5-member team was transported back to the outside world. From the ranks of hundreds, we emerged at the top. My name shone brighter than ever. The audience outside, witnessing this spectacle, couldn't help but exclaim, how did they manage to defeat the boss so quickly? Hey, this team sounds familiar. Doesn't it feel like someone named Lin Mac won the national championship this year? A spectator nearby spoke up. Have you forgotten? This year's national runner-up is Lin Mac. A man named Guy Van also began to feel astonished. Really? He just completed the major exam. How could he participate in a level 20 tournament so quickly? It must be because he leveled up too fast. Otherwise, how could he have become the top scorer? Seeing the leaderboard, Zhang Dao Dao's group was equally taken aback. Are we really in first place? While everyone was filled with disbelief, Akei remained unfazed, calmly stating that this was quite normal. Moreover, the championship would ultimately belong to us. Having been together for a long time, Akei was accustomed to such things. Zhang Dao Dao shook her head, saying, it's not that I don't believe it, I just feel that the recent boss fight, was it truly over in less than 5 seconds? But Van Nan calmly replied, actually, it could have been even faster. Hearing this, Zhang Dao Dao and the group could only stand there, bewildered. What do you mean it could have been faster? Wasn't 5 seconds fast enough? Regardless, as long as we got through. That's what matters. The qualifiers do not rank. After a long wait, the second team was finally transported. But the very next second, their expressions immediately froze. They realized that someone had been even faster than them. Furthermore, the speed was remarkably faster. Yet amidst the astonishment, many felt a sense of disbelief. At that moment, their captain stepped forward, his voice full of resentment. Who is Lam Macdu? Although Akei and the group ignored him, he sensed a threat of killing intent emanating from me. After scanning me from head to toe, he confidently declared, you are Lam Macdu, aren't you? I will remember your name. When we reach the arena, be ready for us to defeat you. With that, he turned and walked away. Zhang Dao Dao shook her head, sighing, this person is truly arrogant. But within this group, encountering Lam Tuyat Din is indeed a stroke of bad luck. Subsequently, the number of those advancing through the qualifiers increased, while the number of teams eliminated continuously rose. The number of teams progressing diminished steadily. It seemed the elimination rate truly reached 90%, with only about 2.000 teams estimated to have passed. It is important to remember that throughout the entire competition, over 100.000 teams registered, with around 70% of those teams below level 40. If 70.000 teams are reduced to just 2.000, the passing rate hovers around a mere 3%. The remaining 97% of teams failed to qualify, which highlights the true strength of those who advance, which is indeed impressive. Soon after, the qualifiers finally concluded. A majestic voice echoed everywhere. Now, we will announce the results of the qualifiers. In the group from level 10 to 19, a total of 18.352 teams participated, of which 552 teams advanced. In the group from level 20 to 29, there were 35.214 teams. Among them, 1.024 teams succeeded. In the group from level 30 to 39, there were a total of 20.011 teams, with 502 teams emerging victorious. Those who have passed the qualifiers, please gather at the competition venue tomorrow morning. Following that will be the individual matches for the qualified contestants. This individual competition has attracted a record number, soaring to 200.000 participants. The grouping is similar to team competitions, also divided into 10 levels per group. However, the individual competition draws much more attention, as with no teammates beside them. Each person can showcase their power in the clearest manner. Soon after, each teleportation formation began to radiate with a brilliant light. The shape of the challenge venue gradually emerged. Indeed, it resembled the arena for team battles perfectly. Upon seeing this scene, many began to feel anxious. Just how high would the elimination rate be? Merely thinking for a moment was enough to realize. With over 200,000 registered, the elimination rate surely cannot be low. If only 5,000 remain in the end, that would be a miracle. Soon, the entire teleportation formation was completed. One by one, the contestants in the qualifiers stepped into the light, entering their own independent realms. And just as I prepared to step into the teleportation array, suddenly, a shadow blocked my path. It was the arrogant Buang Kiem Phi. Dare to compete with me? Whoever is faster through the qualifiers shall be the victor. I gazed at him coldly and replied, "You are unworthy." With that, I brushed past him. Buang Kiem Phi gritted his teeth. "You don't want to compete with me? But I am very eager to compete with you. I am certain I will be faster than you." As everyone entered the challenge, the judge declared the official qualifiers had begun. The rules of the individual competition were simple. Eliminate the enemy before you. And you succeed, fail, and you are eliminated. Before me, a hellhound appeared, with the same level and attributes as the one I faced in the team qualifiers. The only difference was that it was not accompanied by a horde of ghostly dogs. However, compared to the team qualifiers, in this individual round, I had no allies to assist me, nor anyone to restore my health. Fighting was indeed much more challenging than in the team qualifiers. Yet, these challenges could not deter my resolve. As I slowly raised my hand, skeletal warriors emerged, ready for battle. Instantly, the skeletal warriors unleashed their skill, Berserk Strike, and without a doubt, the Hellhound was immediately vanquished. Moments later, the second challenge appeared, a level 30 Hell Wolf. Compared to the previous Hellhound, its level had indeed risen. However, its attributes remained feeble. The skeletal warriors I had summoned were more than capable of dealing with it. Undoubtedly, it was yet another swift annihilation. Soon after, another monster emerged. This time, it was a level 31 Hell Serpent. Its rank increased once more, but regrettably, it was still too weak to withstand the onslaught. A few skeletal warriors charged forward, slashing wildly. The Hell Serpent was swiftly dispatched. Next, the fourth, fifth, and sixth monsters fell one after another, though each monster's level increased gradually, and their attributes grew stronger. I found it of no concern, until the seventh monster appeared, a level 35 Hell Knight. That lizard was slain by me, and the final test concluded. A booming voice echoed from the tower. Test passed. Immediately, I was enveloped in light. My name instantly soared to the top of the leaderboard. Upon seeing this, I understood. As long as I eliminated the seventh monster, I could clear the qualifiers. It seemed the difficulty was not high at all. If anyone else heard this, they would surely be enraged to the point of bloodshed. For these monsters were created by the divine lower empire mimicking the demonic hell. Although their levels and attributes were diminished, they still far surpassed other monsters of the same rank. Moreover, their skills remain unscathed. The most terrifying aspect of this challenge is that there is no respite. The difficulty multiplies compared to team competitions. At this moment, my name shines at the very top. Behind my name is the number 7, signifying that I have vanquished 7 beasts. As for the numbers trailing behind the names of others, they display only 0 or 1, not even a single 2 to be found. A multitude of spectators are fixated on my name. What is so special about this boy? Lam Mak Vu? The number next to him is merely 1, yet he has taken down 7. Could it be that he has annihilated all the monsters? Impossible. It has barely been 2 minutes since the start. How could it end so swiftly? Yet I recall that in the morning's qualifying round, he was also the champion at level 20. In this moment, all eyes are fixated upon my name. My achievement is astonishing, to the point of being unforgettable. This is my first time participating in the selection, and I have shattered the century-old record of the Divine Empire. In just 1 minute, I obliterated all the challenge beasts. While others are still grappling with the second monster, the gaze of every spectator is directed at me, filled with awe at my extraordinary speed. Even the judges, usually so meticulous, find themselves momentarily speechless. Remember, in the past 100 years, no one has ever completed the challenge in just 1 minute. Only a select few remained, while the rest were eliminated in the very first round. For practitioners of lesser prowess, defeating 3 monsters is already a commendable feat. By the time one reaches the third beast, the difficulty skyrockets. The monsters do not wait for anyone, they appear incessantly. each stronger than the last. Thus, the number of those who can continuously slay 7 beasts is exceedingly rare. Some have even analyzed that the likelihood of elimination in individual contests may surpass that of team events. As each second ticks away, the fate of the participants grows increasingly tragic. Yet, amidst the crowd, a few individuals continue to rise, their tally of slain monsters growing relentlessly. Half an hour later, the second person finally managed to kill 7 beasts. But upon seeing his name, I couldn't help but smile. For that individual is none other than Duong Kiem Phi. Duong Kiem Phi appeared with an arrogant demeanor, confidence radiating from him like an unquenchable flame. But as he glanced at the screen, his self-satisfaction shattered upon discovering his name overshadowed by mine. His face paled instantly. Impossible. It's him. Without delay, he approached me, asking, "When did you come out?" Yet I paid no heed to his inquiry. Seeing this, he scoffed, leaving behind the remark, "No need for idle chatter on the battlefield." Before turning away, after an hour of waiting, a heavy, solemn voice echoed, "The individual selection contest has officially concluded. Below are the results of the selection. From level 10 to 19, there were a total of 32.512 participants, of which 432 succeeded. From level 20 to 29, there were a total of 64.352 participants, with 752 surpassing the trials. From level 30 to 39, there were 43.454 participants, and 499 emerged victorious. Tomorrow, the tournament for the professions will officially commence." Countless souls who heard this outcome were left in a state of shock. This round of individual qualifiers eliminated nearly 99% of the participants. Everyone wondered what challenges the Divine Empire had set forth that caused so many to falter. Yet, I found myself indifferent to such concerns. As soon as the announcement of the qualifiers' conclusion echoed, I immediately rose, heading toward another competition venue. However, upon my arrival at the advanced arena, the qualifiers there had already ended. The light was still radiant, and the list of those who had succeeded sparkled like stars in the night sky. I searched intently, but the name of my sister, Lam Mak Han, was not among them. Seeing this, a sigh of disappointment escaped my heart. Perhaps she had chosen not to compete in the individual contest. Yet, the feeling of loss was far from dissipating. Suddenly, I stood frozen, my previously calm face now illuminated with intense excitement. My entire body trembled lightly. In the distance, a familiar figure approached in the twilight. He smiled gently, his ethereal beauty brimming with vitality, like a cool breeze wafting through blooming plum blossoms. He gazed at me, and his warm smile resonated. Hearing that voice, I could not contain the tremors within my heart. Instantly, I dashed forward and enveloped him in my embrace. The call of "sister" was the embodiment of all the longing and pent-up emotions within me. Lam Mak Han felt it too, her eyes sparkling with brightness. Silent tears fell, unable to hide the unending yearning, as the evening light danced upon the sea and illuminated our faces. We reluctantly parted. She stood on tiptoe, pointed at my head, and said, "You need to grow a bit taller." I recalled that a year ago, I wasn't much taller than her. We sat together beneath the sunset, our laughter intertwining with the ambiance. Yet, amid our conversation, I suddenly noticed her gaze was always upon me. She was well aware that I had emerged as the national champion and was accepted into the Ha Tan Academy. But why hadn't she come to find me? Her answer was simply inconvenient. She offered no further explanation. Lam Mak Han smiled and said, "You're still as quiet as ever. How will you ever find a girlfriend? There are many wonderful girls at Ha Tan Academy. You must seize the opportunity." Just then, 4 figures approached from behind. They were all clad in the attire of Ha Tan Academy, each adorned with a distinctive emblem on their collars. The emblem of the Sacred Creative Academy. The leading figure spoke up, asking, "Lam Hok Moy, who is this?" As he spoke, his gaze shifted toward me. His gaze emanated a powerful aura, entirely unintentional, as natural as his very presence. After all, those from the Sacred Creative Academy are all top-tier geniuses. Lam Mak Han slowly rose. "This is my younger brother." I simply nodded politely. "Hello, sir." His demeanor shifted remarkably in an instant. "So, it turns out he is the younger brother of Xiao Han." Lam Mak Han continued, "You all can head back now. I haven't seen my brother in over a year. I wish to chat with him a bit more." The man quickly complied, "But do remember to come back early. Tomorrow is the grand competition. We need to discuss our strategy a bit." As he finished his sentence, his gaze flickered toward me twice more. When he noticed the military badge on my chest, his eyes suddenly sparkled brightly. I, too, Couldn't help but observe him closely. He bore a military badge on his shoulder as well. But that is merely a silver command badge. Still 1 star short of mine. As they departed, I immediately asked my sister, "Are those 4 your teammates?" Lam Mak Han nodded in affirmation. "Indeed, they are all my teammates. They are all the most outstanding geniuses of the Sacred Creative Academy." Hearing this, I couldn't help but smile. "I believe you are the most remarkable one. In just a few short months at the Academy, you have already joined the Sacred Creative Academy. Now you are at level 40, right?" I can't help but ask, "What profession allows you to advance so quickly? How could you level up so rapidly? This has always piqued my curiosity." Lam Mak Han gently replied, "My profession upon awakening was a legendary one, the sword musician. Now I have been fortunate enough to complete my class change into a holy sword musician." Upon hearing this, I was left utterly astonished. I couldn't fathom how she had completed her class change. This was not merely a stroke of luck. Class changes are determined by results, not by the process. The outcome is what truly matters. Lam Mak Han continued to share. "My rapid leveling is due to my innate talent. My leveling speed is over 10 times that of others. After the class change, my talent was further enhanced, accelerating my leveling even more." "Sister, how can you level up so quickly? I had previously suspected it was due to your talent, but could never confirm it. Now, I finally have my answer. However, innate talent is notoriously difficult to awaken. Moreover, talent comes in many forms, some incredibly strong, while others are quite weak. Those who can awaken exceptional talents belong to the rare group of geniuses. The talent you awakened is truly remarkable, tenfold experience. As long as you continue to level up, even if your profession is slightly weaker, you can still suppress your opponents using your level advantage. It's important to understand that. In the later stages, even a 1-level difference can result in significant attribute disparities. And your legendary profession is by no means weak, having undergone a class change. It has now evolved into a mid-tier legendary profession. Surely, I will be much stronger." At this moment, Lam Mak Han continued, "My master is very strict with me. I have been training continuously, leaving no time to find you. He has told us about you. I never expected that you would become the national champion. Truly remarkable." After saying this, he slowly stood up. "I must be going now. After the competition ends, I have to go to the place my master arranged. Farewell. Perhaps I won't see Xiao Yu for a long time." I could only smile gently, feeling a hint of reluctance. "Come find me when I join the Sacred Creative Academy. My quest for the championship has finally begun." However, the one who has captured everyone's attention is being remarkably humble in this match. It turns out, on the very night the selection concluded, the Divine Empire of Shen Sha announced the standards for the individual competition. Everyone fell silent after watching. It cannot be denied that the standards of the Divine Empire of Shen Sha are exceedingly high. Ordinary practitioners cannot surpass them. Those who can are truly exceptional. Furthermore, there is one major point of discussion, and that is me. Everyone is eager to know how I completed the selection round in just a minute, and faster than the second-place contender by dozens of times. Yet, the Divine Empire of Shen Sha has offered no response to this. All that can be done is to look forward to my performance in the upcoming matches. The next morning, the 100th Professional Championship officially commenced. Gigantic arenas unfolded before everyone's eyes. Practitioners under level 40 had their competition area divided into 3 parts. Just like the selection round, each group consisted of 10 levels. Within each area, there were 10 arenas, capable of hosting 30 matches simultaneously. Each arena was covered by protective formations, ensuring no life-threatening dangers could occur. Moreover, numerous healers stood by, ready to assist at a moment's notice. Even in severe injury, one could be immediately taken out. This completely allowed practitioners to fight without reservation. This was merely the scale for the under 40 area. As for the competition area for higher-level practitioners, the standards were even more rigorous. Healers ranked above level 70 were readily available to treat contestants at any time. The audience watching this scene could not help but applaud. The Divine Empire of Shen Sha is indeed a powerhouse. Its scale cannot be compared to that of smaller nations. In the world, no other nation can reach such heights. Aside from the Divine Empire of Shen Sha, the rules of the competition are quite simple. 2 people fight against each other. The winner continues, while the loser is eliminated. After the referee announced the rules, all teams began to draw lots. Our team drew number 512. According to the rules, our first opponent would be team number 513. As the referee announced the official start of the competition, The leading teams began to step onto the arena in their designated order. Our team stood in the middle, affording us ample time to discuss strategies. Zhang Dao indicated that we needed to focus on 5 teams. Among them were Team 8 from England, Team 322 from the Sacred Battle Divine Realm, Team 599 from National Flower, Team 733 from the Buddha Sacred Jade, and Team 924 from the Sacred Capital Sect. The contestants in these teams were all practitioners of level 29. Furthermore, their equipment was top-notch, showcasing immense combat strength. In fact, Zhang Dao did not remain idle after returning from yesterday's selection round. He quickly delved into the details regarding these teams. He, along with a K and a few others, engaged in intense strategy discussions. Only I was completely overlooked. This time, they maintained the same strategy as in the group selection round, sending them into battle first. If they failed, then it would be my turn. However, I agreed with their strategy. After all, if I were to fight first, they would have no chance at all. Just then, Duan Gao rushed in with urgent news. I had heard that Team 513 from the Southwestern Academy, led by a captain named Lak Mu, was also a level 27 female knight, just like Sister Zhang Dao. Their lineup consisted of 2 support players. The other 2 were a defensive warrior and a mage. However, their exact levels and specific roles remained a mystery. With a contemplative expression, Zhang Dao said, "If we cannot clearly understand our opponents beforehand, our 4 against 5 situation will be extremely disadvantageous." Yet Aka smiled confidently and replied, "We just need to give it our all. If we cannot defeat them, there's still Lin Moyu." At that moment, a series of large screens illuminated the sky above the plaza, with information that could be viewed from every angle. The screens would display the information of all professions on each stage. As the matches progressed in rapid succession, each team either leveled up or was eliminated at breakneck speed. There were teams whose strength differed so greatly that victories and defeats were determined within a minute. It wasn't until an hour later that it was our team's turn. As we stepped onto the arena, our opponents, Team 513, did not hesitate to step up as well. Immediately, the information of both teams appeared on the screen. Everyone quickly saw my name, Level 27 Death Mage. This profession had never been heard of. Could it be a newly risen class? However, it seemed that this was a rare mage profession, and the name sounded truly powerful. A nearby spectator scoffed, "Hey buddy, you surely didn't watch yesterday's team selection, right?" Yesterday, in both qualifying matches, he was the victor. Upon hearing this, the man's eyes widened in astonishment. So, does his team have the capability to seize the championship? Most believe that the achievements of my team are solely due to me. At this moment, on the arena, the 2 teams stand facing each other. Zhang Dao and the Knight of the Ming sect, Lak Mu, simultaneously preparing for battle. Although Lak Mu's rank surpasses Zhang Dao by 3 levels, at under level 30, this disparity is negligible. Except for me, the others are ready for combat. It is I who stand idly by, lazily observing their clash. With a shrill cry, the battle officially commences. Zhang Dao shouts loudly, unleashing her skill and dashing into the fray like a bolt of lightning. Opposite her, Lak Mu is equally fierce, activating her abilities. The moment they both strike, Miao Nok immediately unleashes the skill, Blade Dance. Like a tempest, Lak Mu's figure charges forward but suddenly halts. Her skill ensnared by Miao Nok's wins. In that fleeting moment of impasse, Zhang Dao leaps before her. A resounding boom echoes, and Lak Mu lets out a cry of panic. Lak Mu loses her balance, thrown into the air by the impact. Yet Zhang Dao does not pause, continuing her relentless advance into the enemy formation. Clearly, the opponents were unprepared for this turn of events. Their defensive stands still incomplete, and their knight is toppled. In this instant, Zhang Dao activates her second skill. The skill, Provocation, immediately draws every gaze of the opponents towards her, leaving no one aware that a KHA has vanished. As the elder of the opposing team prepares to cast a healing spell for Lak Mu, he suddenly feels a sharp pain pierce through his body. In the blink of an eye, his figure appears beneath the arena, signifying his defeat. Only the protective enchantment ensures that when struck fatally, one does not truly perish but is instead transported below the arena. Yet, the 2 deep wounds upon his body remain. But just a moment later, a powerful healing spell descends, swiftly mending his injuries. Meanwhile, on the arena, a KHA reappears silently behind the enemy mage, unleashing a series of explosive skills, once again knocking a mage out of the battle. The burly archer shouts, "Beware of their assassin," and immediately activates the skill, Eagle Eye, revealing a KHA in her stealthy state. Shortly thereafter, a flurry of blades hurtles towards a KHA. Yet, faced with the razor-sharp strikes like a tempest, a KHA does not retreat, she charges straight toward Lin Moyu. Their team has lost both the Elder and the healing mage, and once wounded, there will be no one to mend their injuries, their fighting strength plummeting uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Zhang Dao Dao was still in recovery, yet his fighting spirit remained unyielding. At this moment, Lin Moyu was eager to eliminate the healing mage, while the archer and the mage simultaneously launched an assault on Miao Nok. Duan Cao, with his robust physique, swiftly drew a colossal shield, raising it over 1.5 meters high to protect Miao Nok behind him. This action granted a KHA ample time. Without hesitation, he charged toward the back of the mage, unleashing his skill, Critical Strike. The two skills erupted simultaneously, their power surging forth like a mighty wave. The mage let out a piercing scream before vanishing from the arena. Witnessing this scene, Lin Moyu immediately decided to retreat. The team had lost their damage output, and continuing the fight would only be a waste of energy. A KHA and the others joyously leapt into the air, for this was their first victory, a moment etched forever in their combat lives. However, the spectators watching the match could not help but feel disappointed. The opposing team was truly feeble. Lin Moyu had not lifted a finger throughout the battle and still failed to secure a win. It was a pity not to witness Lin Moyu's true power. All that remained was to await his next match with bated breath. Emotions surged forth, like an unbelievable shock. My undead mage, making his debut, had left the audience in awe. It turned out that after the first match concluded, out of more than 1,000 teams in the level 20 group, only 512 teams remained, although we had not yet entered the true finals. Many teams with outstanding performances had made a lasting impression on the audience. My team even triumphed over our opponent in a 4 versus 5 scenario, receiving endless praise. Yet, the following day, in the grand battle, a KHA and the others found themselves unable to stand firm. This was solely due to the fact that our first opponents were team number 482. All 5 of their members were at least level 28, each possessing rare classes, although their team lacked clear divisions. Replacing a knight with a swordsman had unleashed an explosion of power for the entire team. Furthermore, with the support of the Seer and Elder Si Ling, the elemental mage's skill power within their team had been enhanced at least twofold. I saw beside the opposing summoner a summoned creature, radiating dark energy, its form shrouded in a nightmarish haze, with 8 blades poised to strike. Igniting my fear, it was a dark creature, summoned by the Shadow Summoner, dubbed the Assassin among summoned beings. It possessed the ability to see through invisibility and could cloak itself as well. Its explosive power rivaled that of assassins of the same level. Confronting the opposing summoner was truly a formidable challenge. If he were to restrain me, escaping would be an arduous task. A KHA furrowed his brow and turned to me, saying, "If we can't find a way, then I'll leave it to you." I nodded confidently and declared, "Don't worry, as long as I'm here, we cannot lose." This was not arrogance, but rather a truth born from what I had witnessed in previous battles. To me, they seemed like mere children's games. At this moment, the 5 opponents wore smiles, their eyes brimming with the confidence of victory. After all, in the previous match, they had overwhelmed their foes. And now, with an even weaker opponent before them, they believed victory was a foregone conclusion. As the referee's call echoed, the battle officially began. Zhang Dao Dao suddenly halted mid-motion, as if swept up by a fierce wind. The opponents did not rush to attack, instead, they coiled like serpents, poised and waiting. The swordsmen stood at the forefront of their formation, while the elemental mage swiftly conjured a magical shield, encircling the Seer and Elder Si Ling like an impregnable fortress. 2 support characters were rapidly enhancing the team's status, clearly preparing for the moment to unleash their skills. Their tactics were exceedingly cautious, leaving no room for error. A KHA, too, refrained from reckless actions, for the dark creature of the enemy had locked onto him with unyielding focus. Even in a state of invisibility, the sharp gaze of the dark creature did not relent. What to do now? The enemy remained coiled, silently observing, waiting for the right moment. The strategy we had meticulously crafted now felt like wisps of smoke. If I wanted to escape, I shook my head and sighed. For now, there are no viable options. The only path was to advance step by step. If that failed, there was still Lin Shui Di by my side. Thinking of my presence, their faces brightened. Even if the 4 were to fall, as long as I remained, they would not be defeated. Suddenly, the enemy mage shouted, "Meteor shower, rain of fire." Instantly, a deluge of flames rained down upon Akha and his comrades. Akha signaled for everyone to scatter, while Zhang Dao Dao resolved to charge forward with unwavering determination. At the same time, the opponents swung their swords, two blades slicing through the air. A cross-shaped wave of sword energy shot straight towards Zhang Dao Dao. Accompanied by a thunderous explosion, Zhang Dao Dao was sent flying dozens of meters away, despite raising his shield in defense. Yet, the injury was unavoidable. Truly, it was a terrifying skill. This was his first encounter with a swordsman, and he had not anticipated their power to be so formidable. At that moment, the swordsman laughed maniacally, leaping into the air, his two blades swirling like a tempest, targeting Zhang Dao Dao directly. Despite the level disparity of 5, Zhang Dao Dao stood resolute, raising his shield determinedly to withstand the onslaught. Miao Yuk, positioned behind him, continuously cast healing spells. Meanwhile, Akha had vanished from sight, and the lurking dark creature immediately vanished as well. Both man and beast entered a state of invisibility, unseen by others. Akha and the dark creature could see each other. The dark creature swiftly approached Akha, launching a fierce, sharp attack aimed directly at him. Akha quickly dodged to the side, drawing his dagger and, in a flash, slashed at its body twice. The dark creature let out a painful scream. The two strikes had injured it. But almost immediately, a stream of green energy flowed into its body, rapidly healing its wounds. Akha suddenly realized it was due to the summoner, for their skills could restore the summoned beast. Although the dark creature could not match Aka's agility, the presence of the summoner momentarily disoriented him. Meanwhile, Zhang Dao Dao was also being restrained by the swordsman. The opposing mage began attacking Mu Nok and Don Sao. Don Sao, with his muscular build, steadfastly held his massive shield before him. Yet, the level 29 mage, with the formidable support of the seer and elder Si Lin, wielded power comparable to mages above level 30. With a mere spell, Don Sao was gravely wounded, and shortly after, the second spell sent him flying off the stage like a gust of wind. Before long, the mage turned his attention to Mu Nok, and unsurprisingly, she too was blasted away from the arena. Watching this scene, the swordsman could not hide his smug smile. "Your two teammates have been eliminated. It's time for you to admit defeat." Zhang Dao Dao, although aware that defeat was imminent, took a deep breath, invoking maximum defense, determined to fight one last time. Seeing him bravely endure the swordsman's attacks, charging toward the enemy's support, the opposing mage merely shook his head. "Don't do anything futile, it won't have any effect." With that, he immediately unleashed his most powerful spell, sending Zhang Dao Dao hurtling away for dozens of meters like a bullet. Zhang Dao Dao, severely injured, could no longer resist. He turned to look at me and said, "It's up to you now." After that, he leapt off the stage. Akha also appeared beside me, laughing. "You're such a fool, make sure to take revenge for us." I nodded. "Let's rest for a moment first. I will quickly regain my strength." Akha chuckled and then jumped down from the arena. At this moment, only I and the 5 opponents remained on the stage. The audience below began to stir, eagerly awaiting to see how I would strike. I was increasingly curious about his power, and whether his profession, the zombie mage, truly held any special significance. However, some expressed skepticism. No matter how strong he is, there must be a limit. After all, he is only level 27, taking on 5 opponents alone is surely impossible. It's hard to say, but I had a feeling he could do it. Could it be that his teammates do not have faith in him? At this moment, all eyes were fixed on the arena where I stood, eager to see if I could triumph in this battle. Meanwhile, the 5 opponents wore smug smiles, celebrating their impending victory. Observing my resolute stance on the arena, the swordsman scoffed. "Your teammates have all surrendered. Why do you still refuse to leave? Are you waiting for us to knock you down first?" I merely smiled quietly and shook my head, slowly raising my hand as if to prepare for something unexpected. Suddenly, a bone mage appeared before me. The swordsman burst into laughter. "So you are a summoner. Why didn't you act sooner? Waiting until your teammates are defeated before making a move? Isn't that a bit too late?" In the face of such mockery, a powerful emotion surged within me. At that moment, the bone mage raised its staff, and the blizzard skill erupted instantly. The temperature in the arena plummeted swiftly, and a torrential downpour of ice and snow cascaded down. In the blink of an eye, the swordsman's smiling face turned pale, and soon after, piercing screams echoed from behind. But before he could assess the situation of his teammates, the icy rain crashed down, inflicting severe injuries upon him immediately. "Help me," he screamed, rushing toward me in desperation. Yet midway, he suddenly halted. The healing spell could not be cast upon oneself. Far from what he had imagined. Turning back, a chilling dread pierced his heart. His 4 teammates had completely vanished from the arena. This meant they had been obliterated in the blink of an eye. With just a single skill. A surge of horror welled up from his feet, as if something dreadful lurked in the shadows. Emotions erupted like thunder. What the hell is this? Summoning? Why is the skill so terrifying? Outside the arena, the atmosphere was explosive. Thousands witnessed this spectacle.